Welcome back, everyone, to the War Room, where, well, we are telling the alternative story of World War II through the lens of World in Flames 5th edition and Days of Decision 3, cobbled together with chewing gum and duct tape and some wires. This is my solo play, and we'll see how it goes. For those of you who haven't joined before, it is now March and April. We're going to start March and April 1938. General war has not broken out yet. Europe is at peace. However, there is the limited war in China between Japan and China. The Soviets have not taken any actions to counter this. We have an incursion in the north and a naval invasion in the south. That did cost the Japanese some. They lost a marine division going ashore. So far, what can we say have happened? When we last left the board, the Japanese campaign had surged forward, but the really bad weather, severe winter storms sweeping in over the mainland, stopped the Japanese advance in its tracks. In Europe, while there has not been any military conflict, there has certainly been diplomatic and political such. The Germans have secured vital oil for Romania, strengthening its economic base. Italy has geared up its wartime production, accelerating its military production and shifting influence across the Balkans. The Commonwealth also expanded its military output, keeping now up with all the other major powers. So I think all the major powers except the Soviet Union have in fact geared up their military production by now. And we are now going into March and April 1938. And as always, I have prepared the bets and bids from the various nations. So let's have a look at the outcome. Who is betting what and who is getting what position in the initiative order? Germany bets 8 plus 4 equals 12. Germany is going for something this turn because that's a high bet of 8 bid points. Commonwealth is betting 7 bid points and gets plus 3, which is 10. France is also betting 7 bid points plus 2, which is 9. Italy is betting 4 plus 3 is 7. Those 3 very high bids that I'm sure that none of the other governments saw coming. Japan is betting 6 plus 1 is 7. Now, 7 here between Italy and Japan. Italy has the better political efficiency, so they will in fact go first. The United States is betting 3 plus 2 is 5. Thanks for the follow! Can't make out your name there, but thank you. The Soviet Union is betting 1 plus 1 is 2, and China's betting 1 plus 0 is 1. So this is our new order here. Welcome, new follower. Have you played World in Flames before? I don't know. I'll be happy to explain. Germany goes first in this political turn, and Germany thus gets to do a political maneuver, and that's the only country guaranteed to do something political this turn. We'll see if the others get a chance to do it. Germany will play Anschluss, which is historically the right time to do it. It's March 1938, so here we go. Austria joins the Reich. In a move described by Berlin as the peaceful reunification of the German people, German forces have entered Austria without resistance. Crowds gathered in Vienna as Chancellor Hitler proclaimed the formal union of Austria with the German Reich. German officials insist the action merely fulfills the principle of national self-determination. No shots were fired, no foreign powers intervened. Allegedly, a plebiscite voted in favor, 97%. Across Europe, however, the annexation has been reviewed with deep unease. The balance of power in Central Europe has shifted, and with it, Germany's industrial and strategic strength has grown. Though, as we will see, Austria doesn't actually have any resources or industries to speak of here. It really doesn't. This means that Austria will no longer be on the board. It is gone. It is kaput. So, yeah. Austria is gone. No more Austria. Initiative lower than Austria's allied major powers. That was Italy, and yep, the initiative was lower than Italy's. So, it's all good. This will, of course, create reactions across the world in various ways. For example, the US entry is going to be a reaction in Washington. But it's 1938. The reaction is not as big as it would have been just like a year ago. A 3 is all. Which brings the German base US entry to an 18. Let's have a look at what that does for everything. So the base US entry is an 18. That changes the effective US entry to a 4 for Germany, to a -2 for Italy, to a 16 for Japan. For the United States to be able to declare war on any of the axes, an 81 is required. So it's going to take a while. But I have a feeling there will be other actions eventually that will, in fact, increase the US entry. Austria is kaput. Belgium, -2 to Germany. Maybe not very surprising. Let's see now. Do we have a -2 out here somewhere? We have a 2 there that I can put in Belgium and flip to a -2. What else? Bulgaria -1. Really? Bulgaria? You take exception to this? Why would you do that? It has a -1 to both Bulgaria and to both Italy and Germany at this point. Czechoslovakia -4. That might not be entirely surprising. There is a considerable German minority group in the border region known as the Sudetenland. And anyone who knows their history, real world history, will know what happened with the Sudetenland in the real world. There is an option to do that here as well. But that's not the one we just played. -1 to Denmark. Which means that Denmark ends up at a -2. What else do we have here? We have -2 to Hungary. Really, Hungary? You're doing us dirty like that? We'll have to have a chat, I'm sure, with the local government. Convince them that they should see the German perspective. Poland +1. Not sure why Poland would react with a positive feeling towards this. I'm sure nothing bad is going to happen in our neighborhood now that all the Germans are reunited or something. All the German-speaking people. Austrians, etc. Poland. Romania +1. Spain -1 and Yugoslavia +1. +1 to Romania, which means actually a +2. See, that's what Germany likes to see. We said +2. No, -1 to Romania, not a +1. Okay. That's the opposite. That's no bonuses at all in Romania. Sorry. I completely forgot that immediately after reading it. Sweden -1. Turkey is +1. Okay, gotcha. So, Sweden -1. Turkey +1. Which Germany likes to see, of course. And then we had Yugoslavia. No, I was looking at the wrong... Okay. Gee. So it is +1. I was looking at the wrong card. +1, Spain -1, Yugoslavia +1, and Turkey nothing at all. Okay. So, yeah. So it is a +2 here. I don't think Sweden even reacted at all. Helps if I'm looking at the right card, y'all. Okay, so Romania +1, Spain -1, Yugoslavia +1. Gotcha. There we go. Maybe now my brain can remember things. So, Spain and Yugoslavia. Did I manage to get it right this time? Or have I flipped them in my mind just as quickly as I put them down? Spain -1, Yugoslavia +1. Yeah, I managed to flip them in my mind. So it's +1 in Yugoslavia and -1 in Spain. There! Gee, it was hard for me to remember that. Alright, Germany has to activate a minor country of some sort. No point in activating Czechoslovakia unless we want to move it off of France, which actually could be a point when I consider it once more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, it's not going to work because that's like the maximum anyway. I think. 11 or 12. I can't remember off the top of my head. Belgium -2 to Britain and -2 to Germany. Doesn't help. We need one more point to get Belgium out of there, because it costs 3 to cross that line. Spain has a lot of minuses in general. We could activate it just to keep it neutral, but it is already in the neutral, so in the middle. Portugal has a +2, but Portugal is allied with the Commonwealth, so it costs 3 points to move it away from the Commonwealth. Austria, of course, is gone. This is now German territory. Romania is nice, +2 to Germany, but Romania is also... Where is Romania right now? It's down here, and it's allied to France, which means that it needs +3 to move it. So we can't really do that until we've broken the alliance with France, which is something we might want to consider eventually for the Germans. Poland has a +2 to the British and a +1 to Germany. Poland is currently sitting here. It is allied to France and Germany. So we could activate it just to make sure that it doesn't go toward the Allied side, or we could wait a moment. Denmark has a +2, -2. It's in the neutral, so it doesn't really matter too much. Ireland, I want to wait because we want more pluses to Germany there. You know what? Maybe we should simply activate Bulgaria to get rid of the 2 -1s. That is a thing we can do. Oh! How do I pronounce that? Santu isn't my life? Welcome to the table! And this is World in Flames 5th edition. The edition most people play right now is either the deluxe edition, the collector's edition, or the final edition. There's been so many editions. The reason I'm using 5th edition is because someone uploaded it to Tabletop Simulator, and then I uploaded Days of Decision 3. So these various factors here will affect how Bulgaria might be influenced by the major powers in question. Bulgaria now being in the center here. All these flags I've put on the side here are in fact in this center hole here. It costs 3 points to move any power out of there, any country out of there. So by activating Bulgaria, I'm just making sure that it's not moving away from Germany or Italy. So a group of German diplomats are headed to Sofia and are soothing Bulgarian government minds regarding the recent developments. I'm now putting a D10 into the box here. That wasn't a roll. To see if the turn ends. If I roll a 1 or a 2, it will. Let's go. Let's see if anyone else gets to play anything this turn. They will, because that was a 6. So the Commonwealth gets to act. Alright. We have the Commonwealth. The Commonwealth is going to play Mutual Assistance Pact. Oh, before I do that, I'm so sorry. I almost forgot. Germany has to adjust the points here that we put out, don't we? So, Germany bid 8 points out of its 10. It has 2 points left. It really wanted to get Anschluss done. And also, it costed 4 to do Anschluss, so now we have -2. The Commonwealth bid 7 out of its 10 bid points, so it has 3 bid points left now. and it will propose a treaty with France, a non-aggression pact. They don't have any treaties so far, and so it's time. But because it's black marked, we will not actually implement any of what is on this card here until France has had a chance to reply. The Commonwealth will, of course, so it's a proposal of a pact with France. The Commonwealth does get a chance to activate a minor country. Maybe we should activate Ireland. But the +2 to the US doesn't actually drag Ireland into the neutral spot in the middle. So all that it would do would be to bump Ireland a step away from the Commonwealth. Poland can be activated. Because, no, it cannot. It takes 3 points to move it away from Germany, because Germany is still allied with Poland. Yes, that's how this big game begins. Germany allied with Poland. I'm sure they're going to get along famously for the rest of the game. Who might I want to activate now? We could activate Portugal just to remove the +2 to Italy and make sure that Italy cannot move Portugal. Let's go. All right, so the Commonwealth activates Portugal. Diplomats are sent out to Lisbon to ensure the Portuguese that the alliance with the Commonwealth is much more valuable than taking any steps towards Rome. And lo and behold, the Italian diplomats, the Portuguese government listens carefully and nods in agreement. Okay, now we'll see 1, 2, 3, or the turn ends. But I'm going to change the die because we gamers are a cowardly and superstitious lot. So I just put the die in there, and now, because it's an allied nation playing the option, I'm going to roll again here, and we will see if the political turn ends or not. It does not. France gets a chance to respond, which is going to make France very happy. France has bid 7 bid points this turn. And it turns out that it worked. So now they only have the 1 left. But it is the Commonwealth who's paying for this. So it's going to be -4 money for the Commonwealth. And a treaty level 1 is now established between the Commonwealth and France. They did not have any treaty levels at all together. It's going to be the first one between these two. It's a non-aggression pact, but they could also make an economic agreement should they wish. France has a production level of 1 at the moment. 7 factories, 7 resources. They both have basically all the resources and stuff they want and need and can handle, so there is not much reason right now for them to make an economic agreement. So we're not going to do that. But we do now have a treaty level between the Commonwealth and France. Let's see, this is going to be a bit complicated here. So, first of all, it's 1938, and we're going to have at least 4 US entry, but we're also going to check the treaty chart right here. So, it's making a treaty with France in 1938. That's 6, so it's 10 in total, isn't it? Yes, indeed it is. So, the Commonwealth gains 10 points of US entry, base US entry. And that will go in here. It's now a 19 in total, which brings the effective US entry to Germany down to a -2. To Italy to a -8. -7, actually. Should be a -1 here. And to Japan, a -10. 11, actually. There we go. In other words, the American Congress notices that the European powers are clearly on the ball with regards to the militarism of the fascist states and declares that this is not our problem. This is definitely something that the European powers can handle on their own. Let's see what kind of influences we will get on various minor countries. Jeez Christ. My head is under my arm here. We're going to place German infantry in a mountain on the production spiral as if built this turn. I completely forgot about that. I'm on the ball. You can trust me with everything. Mountain troops. There we go. That's a very good mountain corps, isn't it? 8-4. The first number is the strength number, the second number is the movement points of the unit. And the 8 is exceptionally good for an infantry corps. As if built this turn is March and April and nothing else, so it's going to come in just Mountaineers. There! In September, October. And this 5-3 will come in July and August. Okay, now let's do the minor country effects. Oh dear. Okay, Belgium, -1. We'll start with that. And this is to the UK, because the UK played the option. Oh, it's already a -2! It's gonna... maybe it will be even more before this impulse is over. Because we have another chart to consult as well. Czechoslovakia, +1. I know where we have a 1. Oh! And we already... okay, so we're gonna have 2 3s there. One is gonna be a minus and one is gonna be a plus. So, +3 here. And a -3 in Belgium. Let's remove these guys. So, Czechoslovakia likes it, Belgium not so much. Ireland a -1, because the Irish never like anything the Commonwealth does with anyone else. There is a distinct anti-Commonwealth sentiment on the island, which may or may not be surprising to anyone who knows their history. Their mutual history, as it were. But we have Netherlands a -1 as well. Because last time there were 2 big Central European blocs fighting each other, everything was just nice and dandy 20 years ago. Poland a +1, Portugal a +1, and Turkey a -1. Poland a +1. And look at that, we have another +2 there already, which means that we can move Poland should we need to. Portugal a +1. And Turkey a -1. Which is already there, so it's going to be a -2 now. Turkey does not like these developments. And then we have to add these as well. So the Commonwealth has made a deal with France. Austria doesn't exist anymore. Belgium is a +2. So the -3 becomes a -1. Which is of course much, much better. Do +2 more to Czechoslovakia. That's a lot of pluses to Czechoslovakia. But the French and the Czechoslovaks are in fact allies, so I can see why this is popular in Prague. It's a bit weird to me that it's spelled that way and pronounced that way, but hey, English. I was over here. France. +1 to Denmark. That's a +3 in total. Look at that. We can move Denmark out of the middle and move it towards the Allies. Denmark, of course, has already been guaranteed by the Commonwealth earlier during this campaign. We have a +1 to Ireland and +1 to Ireland, which changes this to a -2. We have France. -1 to the Netherlands, -1 to Norway. Why is Norway doing this to poor old Commonwealth? We don't know. We might never find out. Maybe it's just the general, nobody should be allying with each other But it's a non-aggression pact. You'd think that would go over better. Okay, so Norway. Poland, another +1. It's a +4 now to Poland. That's a lot of pluses. Not quite enough to get Poland to takes 2 steps, but it can definitely take the 1. Wrong chart. Right chart. France, Poland +1, Romania +1, Siam -2. Ugh. Romania +1. So Romania now has a +2. There's a lot of possibility here for the Commonwealth for France in activating various countries. Siam -2, we said. Siam generally doesn't like it when... Oh, look at that. It's already a -2, so it's going to be a -4 to Siam. I think the Japanese are very happy with that notion, because that's going to allow them to move Siam closer to themselves. Okay, that was a bad click on my part. Oh. Flip. -4 to Siam. Yeah, there's some strong reactions here across the world to these treaties. Spain a +1, Sweden -1, Turkey -1, Yugoslavia +2. So Spain was a +1. And there was a -1 before, so that one goes away. And then we had, because I can't remember, Sweden -1, Turkey -1. And that's already a -1 there, so now we have a Sweden -2. Turkey -1. Oh, that's a -3 in total. That's a lot of minuses here. Okay, -3. We need a -3 token somewhere. Here we go. This is enough to move Turkey out of the neutral zone. They were that angry with this decision. And then +2 to Yugoslavia. Of course, Yugoslavia and France are already allies. So I guess that makes sense. So France needs to activate a minor country. But which one? We might ask. There is some drama here to be had. There is a +3 and a -2 to US and -2 to Germany. So we could get Denmark to move in this general direction all the way up here, probably. Which would be nice. Though generally speaking, Denmark is a walkover and not very hard to conquer and defeat. Romania is allied with France, not with Germany. So Romania would in fact go a step towards France if we activated them now. Yugoslavia would take a step towards the Commonwealth, which would be there, which is also a good thing for the Allies. We don't like the -3 to Turkey much, so we're not going to touch that for now. Czechoslovakia is just going to stay on top of France at this stage. Poland could move a step towards the Allies with this, in spite of its alliance with Germany. That's as far as it gets, but that could still be significant. So moving Romania or Poland, I think, or Yugoslavia. We have 3 different interesting options here. Yugoslavia would almost get it. It would get all the way up to the line here. Romania would get one step closer. Poland, they would all get one step closer. So the question is, which one we benefit the most from getting closer? And that is a very good question. Yugoslavia has some military. Romania has some military. I mean, they all have decent militaries as well. Since Yugoslavia... Oh, look at that. Yugoslavia has an alliance with the Soviet Union, and it would move away from the Soviet Union. So let's scratch that. We're not activating Yugoslavia. That makes life easier. Let's activate Poland. Get Poland one step closer to the Allies. And now it's like in a truly neutral position. That was 4 points used by France to make it move one step. It costs 3 points for it to move away from Germany. And yeah, it's close. It's nice right now, stuck right between the democracies and the fascist camp. And that is it. So let's see if the turn ends or not. A level 1 treaty established between Commonwealth and France. Next time they make this kind of treaty, they will be able to send a small expeditionary force to each other. Now, that's a 6, so the turn doesn't end. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Italy gets to play. Italy bid. What did Italy bid? 4 points of its 7 bid points in total, so it has 3 left. And it's going to play a minor economic agreement. It's the first country to play this particular minor economic agreement, this particular international political option. These are options that any major power can play. It costs 4, of course. There is no US entry effect at all, but the specified minor gets a +1 to the contracting major power. Italy will sign a minor economic agreement with Spain. I think they can. Can't they? I think there's only alliances that will make initiative equal to or below the minor's will. Okay, is it equal to or below the minor's willpower? Let's have a look, shall we? Spain's willpower is a 2. No, it's a 3. But we are on initiative position 4, so we cannot make a minor economic agreement with Spain. Sadly. So that's not going to happen. We will have to make an economic agreement with someone else, because Italy still wants to have a minor economic agreement with someone. Can't do it with Romania, because all these are already with Germany. Could do it with Czechoslovakia, but that doesn't help, because Czechoslovakia is so deep in the democracy camp. Could do it with Turkey, if Turkey has high enough willpower. I don't know. Turkey has 1 resource there, which is the only one I can see, and a nice juicy red factory. Either one would be wonderful to have. Turkey has what initiative? What willpower? Turkey has a 4 willpower, so we can actually sign it with Turkey. Why not? Do we want the factory or do we want the resource? That's the next question. With another factory, we would have 5 factories, which would increase our potential for economic growth to 10 per turn, which is lovely. Economic production to 10 per turn, which would be lovely. Or we sign a minor economic agreement with Iraq, for example. There's like oil to be had. Because I think that the Germans will like to have something to say about that as well. What is the... Iraq has a 5. Yep, let's do it with Iraq. The problem here with Iraq is that once war breaks out, we won't get access to the resource. So maybe not. Okay, Turkey it is. Let's do Turkey. I'm actually going to go for a resource in Turkey because that increases the number of resources Italy has access to. Now 7 resources with 4 factories, production multiple 2. 4 times 2 is 8. We have 7 resources. The production is now 7 per turn, which is a lot better than 6 per turn. A lot better. It's slightly better. Italy gets to activate a minor country, of course. There's no US entry, as I said, because it's simply a minor economic agreement. Which country would Italy want to activate? Is the next interesting question. Yugoslavia could be an option, if for no other reason, to make sure that Yugoslavia cannot, in fact, move closer to the democracies. I think that's what we're going to do. Even though there is a +1 to Germany, that's not going to help. So, yep, let's activate Yugoslavia and make sure that they don't actually go to the democracies. You have to choose your activations carefully. Sometimes you just make an activation to make sure the other guys don't benefit. Yugoslavia, the government was starting to warm up a great deal to British proposals and general foreign policy, but the Italians have now dissuaded them and said that, no, surely you don't want to pay attention to that. All right. Italy, having played that, will roll to end the turn. And now it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1 to 5, and the political turn ends. That wasn't a roll, of course. This is the roll, and it's a 2. This is where the political turn ends. Japan does not get to play its option. The Japanese in Tokyo are very angry because they bet 6 out of their 12. So they only have 6 left. Their political effectiveness is a 2. They gain 2 back as a comfort, consolation prize for having at least tried to do something. The Soviets, the Americans bet something. The Americans bet 3. But because their political effectiveness is a 3, they will ±0, basically. The Soviets bet a grand total of 1. They have a political effectiveness of 4. They get +3. Now they have bid points, 26 bid points. Whenever they want to move, they're gonna move. China bid 1, got 1, so it's gonna be ±1 yet again. And that ends our March and April political turn. There is no election being needed for the British until 39, so they're good for that. Shouldn't it be like 40, I think? Isn't it 4 years between the elections for the Commonwealth? I need to double check that. Anyway, we are going into the action phase, and we start with the reinforcement segment. Japan gains a lot of reinforcements this March and April, like a lot. We have 2 infantry armies, we have Marine Division, and a tank division. A tank corps, I'm sorry, corps, not division. Marine Corps and a tank corps. All of which, of course, will arrive in Japan itself and has to be transported to the respective objectives. We'll put 2 of these guys right here, and I guess we can put these infantry in Nagoya. It doesn't really matter that much. We can have them in Osaka as well, Kyoto, what have you. 2 armies. Japan is very pleased to see that. China isn't. We will have a Soviet infantry army and a Chinese infantry army entering as well. The Soviets, they can enter in Kiev, and the Chinese, this is a nationalist because it has a yellow center, not a communist unit. It will enter where? Certainly not. Oh, we can enter Nanjing. Let's go. We put it in Nanjing, right on the front here. Chiang is in a bad place and we want to get him out of there, or reinforce this with some kind of troop here. We can, if the Allies get to go first, we can do that, because it's going to get bloody, but at least that would mean negating, like forcing the Japanese to spend an attack on the Chinese front. In Europe, the French get a new HQ and a tactical bomber. French Air Force. Famous in the... No, not really. Yeah, this French tactical bomber is not particularly impressive, honestly. A 3 on air-to-ground attack is not very impressive. De Gaulle. Technically, he is not actually a general yet. He is a colonel in this time, I believe. But apparently he's a general now. So in our timeline, he has been promoted early. We have a British destroyer group entering the construction pool. The keels have been laid down. Now they have to be finished. and a British transport enters the map. We're going to put that one in London for absolutely no reason at all. And then we have the Germans. Oh, look at that. French infantry. Look at that. French infantry is entering the map as well. An infantry corps. We're going to put them with de Gaulle here in Reims. In Lille. Reims is a bit south. The French need more infantry. Just all of the infantry. And so does the Germans, frankly. Welcome back! So, you are in a place where it's morning now. Here are the German reinforcements. A submarine squadron. We now have a couple of those. An infantry corps and a tank corps. We're going to place those in Munich just because we can. Look. We need more here to be on the French border, honestly, but we haven't gotten there yet, have we? Alright, I think those are all the reinforcements. So we go to initiative. That wasn't the roll. Here comes the roll. Let's go. Okay, the Allies do have the initiative. They do not have a +1. No, they don't have the initiative because the Germans have a... The Axis side has a +1. And on the roll, and 6 versus 6 means that the Axis will get initiative, not the Allies this turn. The Allies can't ask for a reroll. Okay then, I think Chiang Kai-shek is cooked. On the other hand, that might not be terribly bad for the Chinese either, because he's going to be stomped at and the Japanese won't even be flipped, but it will cost them an attack. And they only have a limited number of attacks because it's a limited war. Oh, you're in Tokyo. That's very cool. I don't think I've had a lot of chances to talk to people who are in Tokyo. 3 for the weather. Last time was January, February. We had really bad weather, so it's a -2 because of the asterisk. I rolled a 3, so it gets us 2, which means it's clear everywhere. Every single place is clear. This will be a long spring turn, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone else. And the Chinese are very sad about this because that's going to be 2 attacks in China. And the Axis will begin. It's peace everywhere. Everybody has to do a combined. The Germans can move 6 ground units on a combine, and we'll do so. We have some armor here. 1, 2. So the weather clears up immediately. The weather is just... Snow is melting everywhere. Clear skies. Wonderful time for everyone. And the Germans will move into Austria that they have just captured here. Next turn, they can get reinforcements straight into Vienna, basically. That's going to be 2 armored corps to the Czechoslovakian border. I'm sure they don't mind that at all. We can put some armored corps here as well. 1, 2. Each hex costs 1 to enter and clear. 2 more for going into the mountains here. So that's 4 points. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4. A river doesn't cost anything to cross. It does make it harder to fight across, but not to walk across. At least in this edition. The Germans need a lot more troops, but you can see here that Czechoslovakia is slowly getting surrounded, and I'm sure they don't mind that at all. Germany needs 1, 2, 3, 4 more infantry just there, and then more here. They need like tons of infantry right now. The Germans do. Italy. We could move this guy over here and this guy over here. Doesn't really make a huge difference, except it clears up Tobruk for future transports, much like we've done here with Tripoli. So far, the Italians haven't really had a chance to build a whole lot of troops, but we've seen the production go up, so I'm sure they're going to have a chance to remedy that over time. They would need to have... 5 is okay here. 5 is okay. Yeah. Okay. Axis impulse in Asia. So it's going to be a combined, of course, because that is the situation for Japan. It's a limited war, can't do more than a combined. The question here is where to do the big push, as it were. If we do the push in the south, that would be a bit nasty. But it would also open up a whole lot of territory here to just move into. We have 5 attacking factors here against the 4, which is not enough. If we had these 2 here, we'd have 8. That's 13. That's 3 to 1 on the Blitzkrieg table, which isn't terrible. But it's also not amazing compared to what we can get here. We don't want to take losses, right? Here, we just stomp on these guys and it's going to be over, right? And here, likewise. So, if we're doing the push in the north, then let's see. We can take. We do 2 naval moves on a combined. The Marines are down here. We're gonna move these guys here as well. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we're gonna move 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the 2 naval moves. Okay, we can now do ground strikes with our land attack aircraft, but I do believe that we're out of range. Not with Chang, mind you. 1, 2, 3. But with everything else, we are out of range. We don't really need to have the range to strike Chang, because he has a defensive value of 1. So we have easily more than 10 to 1. We can just stomp on him and move on, basically. So maybe we should indeed do an air rebase to Qingdao with the Air Force here. We can only do 1 rebase per impulse. We have some actual paras here, Japanese paras in Tianjin. But to use the paradrop, we will need to have a better range for these guys. They will rebase there eventually. So yeah, 10 to 1 against Chang on the assault table is a 3 breakthrough, and yeah, Chang will be dead. The headquarters just doesn't have enough troops to defend against the onslaught, and the Japanese will not get flipped. We're gonna move Hata and the Japanese army down here. I don't know that we need to use anything else for that advance, really, because there is also here to consider. The question here is how much. So that was 8 plus 5. So we only needed like the 8 and the 5 here together, because that's 13. If Hata was not part of the attack, but he was, so I'm going to put him there. So it's 14 versus 1. It's an easy stop. So that resource is no longer in Chinese hands, clearly. It is now going to be in Japanese hands. So now the question is, should we use these guys to stomp on this one, or should we wait until we have more support? We have 7, 14 plus 6 is 20. 26 versus 3 is a lot. That is 8 to 1, which is not 10 to 1. But if we put in, no, 29, still not 10 to 1. I need one more factor to make it 10 to 1. So we can wait. So we can just be not flipped. Alright, that is then the Japanese turn, isn't it? Can't rebase anything else here. We can move. We moved. We didn't make any land moves with the Japanese. Okay, that worked. That was a land move. Forgot about that part. Yep. That's it. Because this advance after combat doesn't count as land move. Which also means that this guy can actually go ashore And so can this guy. Because that is 3 land moves in total. So now we have everything as it should be. Which also means that I actually have the 10 to 1. Because on the land move, I move the tanks. See, I should just do this step by step instead of confusing myself. So next time I'll do it step by step. 7 plus, that's 20 plus 10 is 30 against 3. That is 10 to 1. And it is a splat. And the Japanese do not get flipped. And this infantry goes to the force pool. They had no chance at all. It is technically a breakthrough because we are on the Blitzkrieg table, but nobody gets flipped. We can move these guys down here because it's the Asian map. We don't actually get... I could move the tanks down here to the coastline, but they would get flipped. So I guess we should though, because let's face it, that means that the Chinese cannot in fact stop the further advancement to this particular hex. So now Shanghai is in danger. On the other hand, the coastline is as it is. We'll probably have to evacuate Nanjing very soon. But now the Japanese have done their 2 attacks. This impulse, they can't attack anywhere else. They can advance wherever they want, but they can't attack. So, yeah, that's gonna be the next issue. Alright. That was it for the Axis impulse. Allied impulse. And we're gonna look at the Chinese situation immediately. And the answer is, if these guys get unflipped, which can happen with this air transport in a couple of impulses, then they could cross the river into Hangzhou. So, because the Japanese have burned their 2 attacks, we're going to move this army corps, this army, it's an entire army, not just a corps, to Hangzhou and stop the Japanese advance so they cannot move on further. They won't be able to get through anywhere here either because they have burned their 2 attacks. The question is what we do in the south. Because here they can move and they have an HQ to provide supply. But there's only 2 cores here, so they can't there's only 2 core here, so they can't get very far. That's a problem for another day. That's basically all that China's going to do. It's a line of sorts, I guess. It's not a strong line, it's not a stable line, but it's a line-ish. Alright, the Soviets are going to rail this infantry army to the Urals. We have 2 infantry armies out here. If we want to have more troops out here in the Pacific, we have to move at least one of these guys out of here. So that is what we have done. I can move both. Like that. That means that I moved 4 out of the 5 I can move. And that is... Then I can move these guys. Look, now I've moved 5 out of the 5 I can move. The French have no real reason to move much of anything at the moment. Everything is peaceful and quiet. And the British, they have 2 transports in London. They have a fighter down here in North Africa. What they need is more troops there, basically. So, yeah, I think the British will have to start producing infantry very soon. Alright, we're done with the first impulse here for the Allies. It's gonna be a long turn. Axis second impulse. Combined, as always. Naval action, naval movement. The Japanese can use 2 naval moves. No particular reason to move anything naval this time because they've already used their attacks. So any support from the Navy right now is not very useful. These guys are going to be stuck here on the mainland until the transports are available next turn. So That's all she wrote for naval moves there. Where do we have the... Here. So, naval moves, ground strike phase. We could do ground strikes on the Chinese, and that would only be good for stopping them from moving any further. Which in this case is not super useful, because we can't attack them anyway, and they've already moved. So I guess I should have done a ground strike on Nanjing to stop these guys from moving south, and I forgot about that because I am very foolish. The odds would have been 1 in 3 to succeed with any one of them, and since we needed both of them to be flipped to prevent this, I guess it's 1 in 6 or something. Not very likely. So I guess we've had a look at potential ground strikes. We could rebase this aircraft over here. That's the one rebase that we have per impulse. Now this aircraft next impulse will be able to unflip the tanks, though it's going to be too late for the tank, because there's, as you can look here at the hex, you can see that there is no direct connection here between this hex and Shanghai. If I had the marine up here, they could actually do something about that. But I didn't move the marine there, did I? We're moving these guys here. That's one land move. We can move this marine up here. Why do I have my marines inland? I don't know. Don't ask me questions. I should have used my infantry here instead, but that's okay. We'll get there eventually. So I did one. I moved the 4-3 there. I moved this 4-3 over here. I'm not going to be even wanting to move this 4-3 out of there because I don't have enough troops to extend the line, but Changsha is going to be... We're staring at it. That's 2 land moves. 3 land moves. That is all we can do. This impulse. Can't do more than 3 land moves. And again, Italy, Germany, they're all good. Where they are, so... I guess we are at the second size impulse. And yeah, we're stuck here. If the Japanese can't move out of the mountains here, because then the Chinese could move up to the mountains and cut the supply lines. So they're going to be stuck with these 2 hexes for now. The Chinese do not want the Japanese to just walk in here and take the resource, so they're going to stay here. Whatever reinforcements will come in will have to land here in Changsha next turn, basically. This is a very precarious spot, of course. You have 13 versus 3. It won't take much to make this a solid attack for the Japanese next turn. But that's next turn, because they've already burned their attack chances for this turn. Maybe next turn we'll move this guy there and this guy here just to protect the resource. But for now, we should definitely not move out of the Japanese way, because then they would be able to grab more land. In this case, of course, the land would be Nanjing and Hangzhou. But I don't want to give them an inch that I don't have to give them. They're going to stay here and guard. This is where the line will stop for now. So, does that mean that we're all passing with the Allies? Let's have a look. This is the Lexington. That's supposed to be on the west coast. This one is also on the west coast. We have a couple of transports here. I could move them to Pearl, I guess. No particular hurry, though, because I think I may want to have something for them to transport. So, yeah, I guess that's, generally speaking, just a pass for the Allies, which reduces the die roll by 1. So if you roll a 1, the turn actually ends. And we rolled a 1. Okay, that was the shortest, very nice weather turn in the history of ever. If it had been any, like, if there had been general war with Germans and Italians involved and everything, they would be very grumpy now. But there wasn't. So I guess that is it for the action phase deliberations. Less things happen than I thought, given the weather. That's just how RNG can be. So what do we have now, then? Action phase, end of turn segment. Partisan phase. Let's roll for some partisans. And it's going to be 2, which gives us Norway, Spain, Bulgaria, Iraq, Yugoslavia, Australia, Canada, Netherlands, East Indies. None of these places have been occupied by anyone, so no partisans this time. Convoy attack phase won't happen because there are no convoys to attack. Coup phase is not going to happen. US entry phase will happen because, of course, there is in fact a democracy at war with a fascist country. The fascist country is at war with a democracy, but it is a -1 because it's the Japanese limited war with China. So we roll a D10 -1, and that gives us a 0. Apparently, it's a -1 on the US entry against Japan. So the base US entry against Japan is actually going down to a 41. No, yeah, 41. Which gives us a net US entry of 10 to Japan at this point. In other words, Congress, there's not been any news of more Chinese cities captured. This is a resource, not a city. It doesn't trigger US entry. And the advance towards Shanghai has stopped because the tanks ran out of fuel and got disorganized. And yeah, apparently the stories about the attacks in China are not getting as much. The American public has got tired of reading about the war in China, quite simply. Congress doesn't care as much. Production phase. Alright, let's have a look. We have 5 money to the United States of America. And this one has to be on the map in 41, which means that it has to get in the construction pool in 40, but we are in 38, so we don't have to build it until 39. Start building it until 39. This guy, same thing. That means that the US can do basically whatever they want. And whatever they want, I think, is going to be another light surface. Why not? This is an excellent escort in the sense of its range. Light surface goes on the spiral here. That costs 4, of course. So we now have 1 buck left. We're not going to build anything more with the US. 1 ship is fine. As you can see, we have a shipbuilding program here with lots of destroyer groups for the US. We have 14 production per turn for the Commonwealth. -2 gives us a +12. The Commonwealth does need to have this one in July, August 39. That is going to be in a little while, so they don't have to start building it yet. This one has to be on map in 41. And then we have 2 destroyer groups. The Commonwealth needs nothing if not destroyers, right? So let's build another one of those. That is 4 money. That's 8 left. We're actually going to build an infantry shuffle and build an infantry. That's an excellent infantry corps right there. That costs 3. 1, 2, 3. And I think we're going to build ourselves an HQ now that the gearing limit for infantry is low. So we had 1 ship, 1 infantry. There's no gearing limit on HQs. You can build as many as you want, but they cost 4, so you tend not to build as many as you want. Oh, it's a Canadian destroyer as well. Canadians will join in on the map. It's going to take a little while because you have to first lay down the keels and then etc, etc. But eventually they'll be there. And that is the British builds. The French have 7 production per turn. So 6 money at the moment. They built 2 infantry last turn. You know what? I think they're going to build 2 infantry this turn as well. Because we're going to need them if things go the way we expect them to go, which is poorly. So Yep, 2 infantry right there. There we go. Oh, and it's the last 2 infantry. Really? That's all we had? Some Syrians. Okay then. Maybe the French will need to start building tanks. Alright, the USSR, I built per side here, has 4 production, 5 money now. We'll build an infantry army. Very surprising. They have a lot more infantry armies to build. This one is a 4-3. Whenever they have a little bit of extra money left over, I build either 2 infantry or a tank. Because why not? And that is all she wrote for the Soviets. 1 infantry, there we are. China has lost 2 units this turn. Has 4 money, 5 money now. I guess we could spend the 4 money immediately to just rebuild Chiang Kai-shek, Jiang Jieshi. We don't know if that's going to be the HQ we get, but yep, it was. This one will come in immediately again. That's the thing with HQs. They're very quick to build. That costs 4 money. It's going to be a problem for China because we don't have anything to protect from further aggression in the south right now. I have a feeling there's going to be some rail movement soon for the Chinese. This is bad. Changsha in actual trouble. But only as long as the Japanese don't reinforce this bridgehead, which they obviously will because the gate is open. Alright. Let's see what Germany will build. Germany has 1 aircraft, 2 infantry as a getting limit right now. -2 money, plus 16, so it's plus 14 money. So, what do we want to do with that? Oh, we need to build this one. Dang it. That is very annoying. Which one is this? This is the Graf Zeppelin. The keel has to be lead for the Graf Zeppelin. Should have done that last turn. That's an aircraft carrier that the Germans will never actually field. But it is printed and predetermined, so there we are. March and April 39. Yeah, okay. Dang it. We're gonna have to build that one next impulse. Next turn. Okay, so that was 6 money just for that. Yep. 2 infantry definitely. It's 1 and 2. They're meh. For being German, they're very meh. That means we have 2 money left we're not gonna spend anymore. As much as I don't want to invest any more in the German Navy, necessarily, there are certain required builds according to these old rules. Italy, 7 money, actually finally has a positive money supply. We're going to use that to build... what exactly? We're going to use that to build an infantry, because we can. And because we have almost no infantry on the map. Where's the infantry? There it is. Yeah, we have a lot of infantry to build with Italy. And we built the guards. Nice. White print guards immediately. That's about as good as I get for Italy. Yeah, we didn't build any aircraft this time. Italy built an infantry. And finally, Japan, which now has 11 resources. That means that we have, in fact, 10 production per turn. We have a capacity for 14, but we don't have 14 resources, and we're sending 1 money to the US, because that's how the game begins. So we have 12 money here. We have November, December. That's going to be a while. This one in July, August. This one in January, February. Yep, we don't have to build any of these yet. We have infantry coming in. We have more infantry coming in. I've already built the para. I've built the tank. Do we have the Marines in, all of them? Yes, we do. I saw that on the map a moment ago. Okay, we do have a lot more transports to build. And it makes sense, doesn't it? Though it's a while before I think we'll have any conflict with the Western allies. So, maybe just another escort group. There's a lot of that being built right now in all corners of the world, for good reason. These guys take a long time to build, and they are really useful when they come in to take damage, so you don't have to take damage to any of your really capital ships when you have them around. Other than that, what do we want to do here? Infantry can never go wrong for Japan, really. I have 1 ship done. 2 infantry wouldn't be bad. I have 1 naval aircraft. They take a while to build, but I don't feel like it's like urgent right now. So let's build those 2 Japanese infantry. And that's 6 points, so we have 2 left. And at least one of them is good. More recruits are called for in the Japanese mainland, signing up to the Imperial Japanese Army. And that would be it for the Japanese builds. We now have to do return to base phase. These transports will come back. They're going to be reorganized. Of course, don't have any other ships that I want to return to base or need to return to base because I didn't go anywhere with any ships. It was only the Japanese that did anything with ships this time. So, to do final reorganization, that's it. So, these guys are getting flipped here in Siberia. The tanks are being unflipped. And that is basically it for this entire turn of March and April. Things are heating up ever so slowly, but I don't know that Germany is ready for war yet. And I don't know that the Allies are ready for war either. But now there is a non-aggression pact between the Commonwealth and France, and Austria is no longer an independent country. And the Italians have increased their production base. So that is what we have done this turn. March and April is over. We're going to start with May, June 1938. And I'm sure it's going to be nice and peaceful and quiet. Thank you all for tuning in this time. Again. And we will follow this conflict to the bitter end. Make sure to follow, subscribe, ring the bell icon on YouTube and everything. And I will see you next time when the summer really takes off. See you then.